Mother Clare, most people, or many people, long to have a spiritual life, but find it hard to be able to fit it into their busy lives. What suggestions can you give to people?
That question is an enormously common one. I meet people constantly who say, I feel like I'm a spiritual person. I'm drawn to the spiritual. I read spiritual things, but I just don't have the time. I have family and profession and all these obligations, and I just don't have the time. And yet I feel remiss that I'm not having a spiritual practice. So what can you do if you're a typical American or a typical world inhabitant and you're busy? You have a very busy life. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot to start getting real spiritual elements in your life. Even the basic things that religions have taught forever help. For example, when you wake up in the morning, that you would start the very first thing before you do anything else, that you would have your thoughts raise up to God, rise up to the spiritual world, that you would tune into that and thank God for the new day, and thank God for the new opportunities, and ask God's blessings upon this day, upon all the interactions you'll have and the work you do and the people you will meet, to bless you and that you will be a blessing to others. It's quite short. It's quite easy to start with that. And if you will remember to give thanks and bless each of your meals, then that's at least 3 times more in the day. And if you do it again before you go to sleep at night, you have a time that you ponder on your day and you look at what happened in your day and you feel where you were uncomfortable about some things that happened, and you look at them a little more deeply and go, what about that conversation made me uncomfortable? And you find what's there, and you see if you need to forgive anyone, or do you need to speak to someone about something the next day. That you look at that, and then you have a prayer before you go to sleep to be in a state of peace and to finish up the business of the day. Right there, you will have prayed 5 times that day. That is actually the practice that the Muslims have, 5 prayers a day. You will have done it through those simple practices. In addition, if you can find a spiritual community that you want to join at least once a week, to have a worship service with, to acknowledge God and what God has given you. And if in addition that spiritual community can have educational classes where you can grow in your depth of understanding and knowing, and if they have a group of people that you can relate to and share your spiritual hopes and growth and deepening with, if there are priests or ministers in that church who actually help people raise up their level of spiritual communion and relating to God, then you have a spiritual life right there in the midst of your busyness. You can be growing and deepening and raising up in consciousness as you cannot imagine, but you have to start with making a commitment. And you have to say, this is really important. I'm going to make it central to my life. It comes first on my list, and I'll trust that God will help me have everything else fall into place. Then you will truly begin to be blessed. But if you sit back and just wonder, well, when am I ever going to have time? You'll never get to it. So start now. Find a spiritual community that works for you. Start implementing the 5 prayers a day, and your life will change. That is a guarantee.